Hi Meissner's Makers, and welcome back to the third installment of our freestanding applique project that we're going to do. Today I'm going to walk you through the steps to get you prepared to go to the sewing machine, and we're going to start stitching out our Christmas tree design. So now we're going to go over all the supplies that we need to get started with. First of all, it's always a good idea when you have a project that has a lot of pieces to it. This has 5 rows of branches and 6 branches, so there, right there's a lot of product. So it's easier just to go ahead, print it off. Helps you stay on track of what you need to do and how many you need to do of each one. I have my applique scissors, my tweezers because I know I might make a mistake, my nips. I've already installed and downloaded my design on my USB stick, which we will take over to the machine. I have my piece of applique fabric. In this case, it's a piece of organza that we're going to double over. I have already cut my 2 pieces of water-soluble Floriani, and now we're ready to start hooping. What I like to do is set my pieces so they're at a little bit of a different angle, so they're not exactly the same on top of each other. I'll take and set my inner hoop, and then I'll lay it on top of my outer hoop. Do a couple of little turns on there. Bring it in kind of taut, but not so taut that it's stretching it. I'll finger tighten it. And then I'll take and do 1 complete twist. And that's as tight as I make my hoop. This is now ready to go to the machine. Okay, now we're over to the sewing machine. I have wound a bobbin, I have my thread on, I've got my USB stick in, and I have my hoop ready to go onto my sewing machine. Now we're going to pull up our design. I like to work in embroidery at it. Now, this is the size hoop that I'm working with, and with this size hoop, it is only allowing me to do 1 design. But if I had a larger hoop ready to go, I could do multiple designs, and I can probably get about 6 on this, which means I would have a whole row of branches done all at one hooping. But since I'm just going to do 1 on here, we're now ready to do embroidery. We're going to drop our foot. We're going to hit our light, and we're going to start stitching. This is doing its placement tack down. Remember, we have to do our applique first, so this is just our placement where we're going to put our organza at first. You want to take your piece of organza and fold it in half so it's double. Lay it down, put your presser foot down, hit your stop go. And I like to hold mine so that it doesn't get away from me. It's going to stitch a double line, and then that way if you accidentally cut the outside line, it still will stay tacked down. Now our applique is ready to be trimmed. We're going to remove it from the hoop. I don't like to cut on my lap. I like to work with a flat surface when I'm cutting out applique, because then I get a nice clean cut. So I'm taking my applique scissors, I'm holding my fabric at a 45, and I'm actually laying my scissors down like this when I'm cutting. And it gives me a nice, clean, close cut. Now we're ready to go back to the machine, put it back on, and it's going to start sewing our first set of stitches that we need. It's kind of like our background stitches for our branch. Okay, now we've finished with our first branch. Now I would like to point out, when you do multiples, You want to do one item at a time, and that means do your tack down, your placement, everything all at one time, because what happens is as it goes through each one, you'll notice that there's just a little bit of a ripple here. It'll start pulling it in. So if you do all of your placements at one time and then you do your tack downs, you're taking a chance of it by the time it gets to the second or the third or the fourth, that'll be out of registration, and then you've just wasted all that time. So always try to do one complete one and then go on to your next one when you're in the larger hoops. Okay, this is now finished and we're ready to take it out. And we have 35 more to go for this project because there was 36, I believe, separate branches in this one. So we need to get stitching, don't we? Okay, Meissner's makers, that's it for today. Hope you'll come back and see our next video when I show you how to prepare your branches by removing the water soluble, and I'll show you how to assemble the branches. And that's it for today. Thanks, bye-bye.